Welcome to A News, I'm Katie Wilson. Here are the top stories for today. US and Russian high-ranked officials agreed in Riyadh to press ahead with efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Thousands of people protest across the US against President Trump and Elon Musk. Delta Airlines regional jet overturned at Toronto Pearson International Airport, leaving 17 injured. The United States and Russia agreed in Riyadh on Tuesday to press ahead with efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio to discuss ending the war and restoring comprehensive Russia-US ties. The meeting lasted more than 4 hours. The US State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said the two sides agreed to appoint respective high-level teams to begin working on a path to ending the conflict as soon as possible, in a way that is enduring, sustainable and acceptable to all sides. However, no one from Europe or Ukraine were invited to the meeting. Kyiv insists no peace deal can be made on its behalf. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen calls for continued US-European partnership in Ukraine peace talks, stressing Europe's key support for Kyiv amid concerns over US unilateralism in Russia negotiations. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has been laying out Europe's credentials for why the United States should continue to be a partner with Europe when it comes to peace negotiations in Ukraine. Von der Leyen says that no one has pulled their weight more when it comes to military and financial assistance for Kyiv, and that is why that Washington should stand side by side with Europe in future peace negotiations. There are concerns here in Brussels that Washington is moving unilaterally without the assistance of either Ukraine or European leaders when it comes to talks with Russia, something that Europe very much wants to address. In a meeting with the US envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, Ursula von der Leyen said that Europe is pulling its weight when it comes to military assistance for Ukraine, but when it comes to defence spending and military defence production, it is willing to ramp that up. That is something that has been a huge issue for Washington, saying that effectively for too long Europe has been riding the coattails of Washington when it comes to defence spending. European leaders at a meeting on Monday, a number of them said that that was something that they have agreement on and that they will do more to ramp up defence spending, something that NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has said is desperately needed as well, to see more spent by European members of the military alliance on defence. Ursula von der Leyen also saying after this meeting with Keith Kellogg that any peace for Ukraine must be respectful of its independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity and strong security guarantees. This comes after members of the Trump administration had said that they believe it's unrealistic for Ukraine to return to its 2014 borders, also dismissing calls for Ukraine to join NATO. So when it comes to potential security guarantees, one possible idea floated by the UK is peacekeeping forces to be sent to the country in the future. But UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that that will only happen with strong US backup. There's been scepticism from a number of European leaders. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk somewhat on the fence, saying that with their borders with Russia and Belarus, it's somewhat unrealistic for them. And Olaf Scholz, German Chancellor, says that those kind of talks are simply premature. William Denslow, A News in Brussels.
The UK has declared its readiness to send peacekeeping troops in support of any future peace deal in Ukraine. This comes as European leaders convened in Paris to forge a united strategy to address the ongoing crisis. The move highlights growing international efforts to stabilise the region, with Europe aiming to present a coordinated front amid one of the most pressing geopolitical conflicts.
The emergency summit in French capital came together after US President Donald Trump's administration, Kyiv's main military backer, announced talks with Russia to seek an end to the war. A French presidency official said the discussion would look at the security guarantees that can be given by the Europeans and the Americans together or separately, with peacekeepers being just one element of the security guarantees. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's comments on sending British troops reflect a realization among leaders that they will have to do more to ensure Ukraine's security and their own. A peacekeeping force would not only risk a direct confrontation with Russia, but also raises questions about how some European nations will pay for such expanded military commitments, as their arsenals have been depleted by supplying Ukraine and decades of relative peace. Germany and Sweden signalled the possibility of sending troops, while the Dutch government said it could contribute, given a clear mandate and a pledge of US support in any escalation. Ukraine's neighbour Poland, which has NATO's third largest army, said it would not provide troops, while Spain said it was too early for such an offer. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman welcomed US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Riyadh on Monday, with talks set for Tuesday between senior US and Russian officials. The US negotiating team also includes National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. The highest-level in-person discussions between the nations in years are meant to precede a meeting between Trump and Putin. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said at a press conference on Monday that Ukraine will not take part in the Riyadh talks and that the country will disregard any deal made without Kyiv's participation.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Tuesday to discuss the war in Ukraine. Erdogan greeted Zelensky at the Turkish presidency ahead of their bilateral talks between their delegations. Erdogan and Zelensky were expected to discuss ways to improve cooperation and bilateral ties, in addition to the latest developments in Ukraine. They are scheduled to hold a press conference after the talks. A Delta Airlines regional jet flipped upside down while landing at Toronto Pearson International Airport on Monday, leaving 17 people injured. The crash happened as the plane arrived from Minneapolis amid strong winds and icy conditions.
A Delta CRJ 900 plane flipped upside down as it landed at Canada's Toronto Pearson Airport on Monday. It's after a snowstorm at the weekend. 17 people were taken to local hospitals, including 3 in critical condition. Officials say 76 passengers and 4 crew members were on board. The Toronto airport was shut down for more than 2 hours before departures and arrivals resumed.
Airport emergency workers mounted a textbook response, reaching the site within minutes and quickly evacuating the passengers. We immediately halted further arrivals and departures on our remaining 3 runways. Those runways were reopened at approximately 5 p.m. The other runways are remaining to serve the investigation, which will be carrying forward for the rest of tonight and into the next several days.
Passengers at the airport were shocked at what happened.
When I was grabbing lunch, I hear people at the table behind me saying there was an accident at Pearson. What? And then someone at the end of the bar said, yeah, the plane flipped over. I'm like, what? And so we're hearing cancellations and airport closed and all this for the longest time.
Officials say that the runway surface at the airport was dry, and they are working to determine the cause of the crash, which was not yet known. The accident comes after a weekend snowstorm left over 22 centimeters of snow at the airport.
Demonstrations were held in Austin, Texas against President Donald Trump's latest policies. Their anger turned towards billionaire Elon Musk, who now leads the newly created Department of Government Efficiency. Tasked with cutting government spending, Musk's actions have led to mass layoffs and growing tensions within the administration.
Hundreds gathered in Austin, Texas, to protest against the policies of newly appointed U.S. President Donald Trump. These include actions led by billionaire Elon Musk, which have been criticized for their aim to diminish the role of the federal government. Trump appointed Musk to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, which has been tasked with rooting out wasteful spending as part of a dramatic government overhaul, which includes thousands of job cuts.
I think that Congress needs to step in and protect the power of the purse. I don't think that Doge has the right to have our personal information, our personal data. I don't think that Doge has the right to cut programs. I think they're calling programs that they don't like fraudulent, and they're not fraudulent, they just don't like them. They want to remake the government into something that doesn't work for the people but works for them.
I'm here because I feel like I have to do something to push back against all that this administration is doing, especially all of the illegal and unconstitutional power grabs by Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Not only is there exasperation on the streets, there's frustration with some of Trump's top aides, according to sources. According to them, Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and her team say they have at times felt out of the loop and call for more coordination from Musk's team. However, Trump's new order requires all government agencies to coordinate and consult with Doge. Trump says Musk's cost-cutting work is vital to curbing spending abuses.
South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol arrived at the Constitutional Court in Seoul, but didn't attend the latest hearing in his impeachment trial. He also faces two major legal battles on Thursday, with both his criminal and impeachment trials set for the same day. South Korea's Constitutional Court convened for the 9th hearing in President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial. However, Yoon did not attend, instead meeting with his legal team before returning to the detention centre. His lawyer stated his presence was unnecessary. On Thursday, Yoon's first criminal trial will begin at the Seoul Central District Court. Under the Criminal Act, a defendant must be released if the grounds for detention no longer exist. That same day, the Constitutional Court will hold another impeachment hearing, summoning suspended Prime Minister Han Duck-soo as a witness. Yoon's lawyer argue Han, in office during the December 3rd martial law declaration, can justify the decision. However, Han previously testified that the decree had procedural flaws and was not fully legitimate. Key intelligence and police officers are also set to testify. Yoon's legal team has requested postponing the hearing until February 25th, citing difficulties in preparing for both trials. The court has yet to decide on the request. The impeachment trial, which began on December 27th, accuses Yoon of violating his constitutional duties by imposing martial law without justification. He was arrested last month and remains in detention as the court decides his status. A final decision will be made within 180 days. In Argentina, President Javier Milei faces fraud allegations over his promotion of a cryptocurrency. A federal judge is investigating whether his endorsement contributed to a financial collapse that cost investors millions. While opposition politicians push for impeachment, Milei insisted he acted in good faith.
A major political and financial scandal is unfolding in Argentina, where President Javier Milei faces fraud allegations linked to a cryptocurrency. On Monday, a federal judge launched an investigation into Milei's involvement in promoting the digital asset Libra dollar. The controversy erupted after the president used his social media platform to endorse the cryptocurrency. He presented it as a tool to boost economic growth and support small businesses. However, within hours of his endorsement, the currency's value surged to a market capitalization of $4 billion before crashing, leaving investors with significant losses. Critics have labelled the incident a potential rug pull scam, a scheme in which developers attract investments, artificially inflate an asset's value, and then suddenly withdraw their funds, causing a market collapse. Milei, a self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist, quickly distanced himself from the scandal, insisting he had no financial ties to the cryptocurrency's creators and was unaware of its full details.
I acted in good faith. Somebody approached me and proposes to create an instrument to fund projects in Argentina, and that is interesting to me. Now, it is true, in wanting to help those Argentinians, I was slapped in the face. But did the state lose anything? Nothing.
Lawyers and human rights organisations have filed complaints arguing that Milei's actions were instrumental in the alleged fraud. Meanwhile, the country's federal prosecutor's office is also investigating whether Milei's involvement violated his official duties or constituted fraudulent activity.
The United Nations is urgently appealing for $6 billion to address Sudan's deepening humanitarian crisis due to civil war. Around 12 million people are facing extreme hunger, and it will provide critical aid to 21 million internally displaced people and 5 million Sudanese in neighbouring countries.
A fifth of Sudan's population is displaced and suffering from severe hunger among around half of its population, and it looks set to get worse. That's according to the United Nations, who say a 2-year period of civil war has seen 12 million people displaced. The UN's urging the international community to help raise $6 billion in aid to address the escalating humanitarian crisis for this year. It's an increase of 40% from last year's request, as the ongoing 22-month conflict between Sudan's army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces continues. 2 major plans aim to support 21 million people inside the country and up to 5 million refugees in neighbouring countries.
Because this is a humanitarian crisis that is truly unprecedented in its scale and gravity, and it demands a response unprecedented in scale and intent. It's a crisis that is increasingly crossing Sudan's borders, threatening to destabilize neighbors in ways that risk being felt for generations to come.
Famine conditions have already been reported in at least 5 locations across Sudan, including displacement camps in Darfur, and the situation is expected to worsen as fighting continues and essential services collapse. The UN's 2025 humanitarian plan is the largest and most ambitious response to Sudan's crisis to date, aiming to provide food, medical care and essential services to millions of people in need. However, ongoing violence and infrastructure collapse continues to threaten the stability of the region, with risks that could affect neighbouring countries for generations.
Turkish authorities detained 282 people suspected of being linked to the PKK militant group. Conducted over 5 days, the raids are part of a broader effort to weaken the PKK's influence. Suspects face accusations of propaganda and financing activities.
Turkish police have detained 282 individuals suspected of having connections to the outlawed PKK, a militant group designated as a terrorist organization by Turkey, the United States and the European Union. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya announced the arrests on Tuesday, emphasizing that the operations are part of a broader strategy to dismantle PKK networks and neutralize its influence across the country. The coordinated raids were carried out in 51 provinces, including major cities such as Ankara, Istanbul and Diyarbakir, and involved a large deployment of security forces. Authorities have accused those detained of engaging in various activities to support the PKK, including spreading propaganda, financing its operations, and recruiting members. The Interior Ministry also revealed that intelligence-driven investigation had played a critical role in identifying key suspects.
Turkey has unveiled a broad range of cutting-edge defence technologies at the International Defence Exhibition and Conference in Abu Dhabi. The event is one of the world's largest gatherings for defence industry stakeholders. It serves as a key platform for countries to present their latest military innovations and explore strategic partnerships.
The Turkish defense industry, represented by leading firms such as Aselsan, Roketsan, Havelsan and Baykar, has showcased an impressive array of products at IDEX 2025, ranging from unmanned systems to advanced missile technologies and next-generation radar systems. Baykar, known for its globally renowned TB2 and Akinci drones, introduced the long-anticipated Kızıl Elma unmanned combat aircraft at IDEX 2025. Roketsan exhibited its latest line of guided missiles, including the TRG-230 precision rocket system and the long-range Bora missile. These missiles are designed to enhance the tactical advantage of forces operating in both conventional and asymmetrical warfare. Aselsan showcased its advanced electronic warfare systems, including the Coral electronic warfare platform, which has gained attention for its performance in various operational environments. The company also displayed its AI-powered surveillance and targeting systems designed for land, sea, and air applications. Havelsan, another key player, introduced a range of integrated command and control solutions, highlighting its role in digitalizing battlefield operations. Turkey's participation at IDEX 2025 underscores its ambition to become a global leader in defense exports. With over 100 bilateral meetings planned during the event, Turkish officials aim to secure export deals and foster collaborations with regional and international partners. Turkey's defense industry has witnessed remarkable growth over the past decade, with defense exports reaching $7 billion in 2024. The country continues to prioritize self-reliance in defense technologies while focusing on increasing its footprint in international markets. IDEX 2025 runs from February 17th to 21st at the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Center, hosting over 1,500 exhibitors from 65 countries.
Rio de Janeiro recorded its hottest day in over a decade, hitting 44 degrees Celsius on Monday. It surpassed the previous record of 43.8 degrees Celsius set in November 2023. The Heat 4 alert was triggered for the first time, signalling persistent temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. Officials set up hydration stations and prepared for a surge in heat-related incidents. Residents were urged to stay out of direct sun and stay hydrated. The heat wave is expected to last until Sunday. Despite this, the famous Rio Carnival will go ahead. Turkey's history isn't just in its landmarks. It lives in its beloved stray cats. These furry friends have become an enduring symbol of Istanbul's culture and charm.
Turkey's major city of Istanbul is shaped by countless civilizations and is known not only for its rich history, but also for its cherished stray cats. They are estimated to be between 125,000 to 750,000 of the furry, adorable creatures roaming the streets of the city. These feline residents have made nearly every corner their home and are often seen strolling by historical landmarks. They have become iconic symbols of districts like Üsküdar, Kadıköy, Fatih, and Beşiktaş. Since the Ottoman conquest in 1453, the Ottoman Sultan Fatih Mehmet II built a grand complex at the city's heart, and cats have remained a constant presence. They are deeply woven into Istanbul's cultural identity.
The cats have become a part of the city's culture through mercy and compassion. This was so common in and around the district of Beyazıt, especially in the Beyazıt State Library. In the 1500s, aside from the decrees and declarations issued to protect cats and dogs, this practice cannot be enforced by law. Rather, the people have such sensitivity, mercy, and compassion.
Living peacefully in their trusted spaces, these cats are more than just strays. They are the true eternal residents of Istanbul.
That's all for now, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to A News for more exclusive updates. We'll be back soon.